Most people believe that America is a democracy. That idea, however, is false. It's actually a republic, meaning we can elect lawmakers, but we have no say in actual lawmaking. Voter turnout in major elections is shockingly low, considering that it's people's only say in how they're governed. What's more, turnout is shown to be the lowest among the youngest voters, ages 18 to 24. You've probably heard the phrase, taxation without representation. It's one of the reasons why America left Great Britain. Unfair laws and taxes were being passed on them, and they had no say. People today have a say, but too often don't take advantage of it. If you don't vote, then you consent to taxation without representation. That's what makes it so important to vote. I'm credible to speak about election turnout through research I've done in government class and for this speech. Voter turnout among young voters needs to be increased by using a social media campaign, which will create a ripple effect that teaches everyone how to use their civic voice. Voter turnout among 18-year-olds should be encouraged because it's important for young people to build the habit of civic engagement. Low voter turnout is a problem among people of all ages, which means that young people are growing up in a culture of apathy toward government. It's usually a result of one of these two misconceptions. First, many people believe that election outcomes don't really affect their lives, but the truth is that elected officials vote on things like allocation of tax money, workplace regulations, food safety, and other things that directly impact everyone. The other common belief is that their one vote won't make a difference. However, the sheer number of people who hold this belief means that the total of their votes would have a huge impact on election outcomes. As a result, full demographics won't be represented in government, so laws and policies won't accurately reflect the population. If everyone doesn't vote, the government can't get accurate feedback on what people want. Neutral and just laws that weigh everyone's needs equally will be impossible, because different points of view are not equally weighing in. Voter turnout is lower than most people realize, and research shows that it may be getting lower. According to FairVote, an online resource devoted to voting reform, only an average of about 60% of eligible citizens vote in presidential elections, while just 40% vote in midterms. Furthermore, a study done in 144 American cities shows a decline in voter turnout in local elections over the last 15 years. According to Harvey J. Tucker, professor of political science at Texas A&M University, low turnout makes it possible for minorities to defeat majorities. The most important impact of low electoral turnout is that decisions are made by a minority. While this affects everyone, census data shows that there are some demographics who are less likely to vote than others, meaning they're more heavily impacted. According to the Population Reference Bureau, prior to the 2000 election, 2/3 of the population over the age of 65 voted, compared to 1/3 of young adults below the age of 24. Additionally, while about 60% of white citizens voted, only about 53% of black citizens, 44% of Hispanics, and 45% of Asian and Pacific Islanders voted. Those numbers may not seem far off, but while there's only a 15% difference between the voting numbers of white and Asian Americans, 15% of the Asian population amounts to over 3 million uncast votes. To increase turnout among the youngest voters, a civics education campaign should be launched on social media. According to a CNN article from 2019, the average teenager spends more than 7 hours a day on technology. While most agree that that's a problem, it's one that isn't going away soon and can be taken advantage of. Teenagers are natives in the world of digital media. They grew up using it and are comfortable with it. That makes this uniquely suited to reach young potential voters. To enact this plan, we must take advantage not only of teenagers' love for social media, but also of the increase in digital space that comes with it. As the internet has grown, so has the amount of space for advertisements and other messages. Accomplishing this will involve finding sponsors for the campaign and crafting messages that target teenagers and young adults. Because we're focusing on young voters, the campaign should target specific values and common experiences unique to that demographic. It should also make use of their humor, like memes, so that they're more likely to look at and engage with it. The idea is to cause young voters to associate voting with other things that they care about and consider important. The next step is to find an organization willing to undertake this. That could be a nonprofit organization, a corporation willing to advocate, or even a government entity. It might even be several of those working together to sponsor the campaign. Finally, it needs to be released onto the internet and into the ad spaces found on any social media platform, website, or game. If this plan is enacted, voters of all ages who are on social media often, and especially young voters, will participate more in voting and other civic activities. As time goes on and young voters become middle-aged and old voters, citizens of every age will become more involved in their communities. It's not an immediate solution, but focusing on young citizens will teach them the habit of voting as they grow older. This will allow all of us to live in a country where the government reflects the people. It will be more suited to the needs and wants of every demographic, including yours. If action is not taken, the government will continue to enact policies and laws that don't reflect the people. A non-biased government is essential to a society, but it can only happen if everyone exercises their right to vote. In conclusion, because teenagers are on social media so much, it should be taken advantage of as a way to educate teenagers on the importance of voting. A civics education campaign should be launched on social media to reach teenagers on the platform on which they spend the most time. Voting is an important habit to establish because it's our only say in how we're governed. If you're dissatisfied with government, remember to make use of your right to vote, whether locally or at the state or federal level, and encourage those you know to do the same. I hope you see the need for this solution, and I ask you to advocate for it alongside me. Thank you.